The evening sky hung low over Jerusalem, heavy with clouds that looked as if they, too, were grieving. Jesus walked slowly through the narrow path outside the city, his sandals dusted with the earth he had created. Even though the roads were loud with the noise of travelers, his heart felt unbearably quiet, quiet in the way a heart becomes before it breaks. Ahead of him stood a small house made of mud bricks. Inside lived a widow named Miriam, whose only son had been sick for days. Jesus already knew what awaited him, but still, he stepped forward with a painful heaviness. Every life mattered to him, yet every broken life tore at his own soul. When he entered the house, he found Miriam kneeling beside her son. Her tears fell onto his cold hands. She did not hear Jesus walk in. She was lost in a mother's despair. "Rabbi, you came," she finally whispered when she noticed him. Her voice was trembling, fragile like a candle's flame in the wind. Jesus knelt beside her, his eyes soft yet filled with sorrow. He placed his hand on the boy's forehead. His skin was cold, lifeless. For a moment, Jesus closed his eyes, and a single tear slid down his cheek. It wasn't just sadness, he felt the weight of every person who had ever cried for someone they loved. "Miriam," he said gently, "do not lose hope." "But hope left this house today," she sobbed. Jesus did not argue. He simply stood and lifted his face toward the dim light filtering through the window. "Father," he whispered, "let life return, not for my glory, but for the love this mother carries." A warm silence filled the room. Then, suddenly, the boy's hand twitched. Miriam gasped. Jesus opened his eyes and looked at the child, whose chest slowly rose with breath again. The boy sat up, confused but alive. Miriam cried out in joy, covering her face with trembling hands. Jesus smiled, but it was a small, bittersweet smile, because he knew that every miracle brought him one step closer to the cross, one step closer to his own suffering. Later that night, Jesus walked alone toward the Mount of Olives. The wind was cold. He wrapped his arms around himself as if he could hold back the sorrow he carried for the world. He knew people followed him for miracles. Others followed him out of curiosity. But very few understood that his deepest miracles were born from his deepest pain. As he reached the top of the hill, he looked at the city lights flickering below. "They will forget today's miracle," he whispered. "But I will never forget their tears." And in that lonely moment, another tear slipped from his eyes, the last tear of that long, sorrowful day.